What's up, man? Welcome back to Cookie Tactical. Today we are going to be talking about my night vision setup. Is there such a thing as budget binos? There could be. We're going to check it out. Before we get into that, I just wanted to say continue to like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit that notification so you get notified on new videos. And please share the channel with a friend so we could keep growing the channel. I really appreciate you guys. Enough about that. So let's talk about it. So even though that tagline is clicky bait, right? Budget night vision. Is there such a thing? There is such a thing, but I want to kind of get this out of the way. When you're talking about is budget night vision a thing, it's what comes in this little box is what a used car is. You put it that way. You're gonna spend a few $1,000s no matter whether you get monocular like a PVS 14. You're at least gonna spend 2,500 to 3,000. Binos on the low end, they're going to be 5 and upwards from there. Now you're looking at 5 for binos. Yeah, you could do 5 for binos because that's what I got in the case, and I'm going to talk about it. So, but when it comes to that, I just want to say what you really need to do first is find a great company to deal with. And I'm just going to say right off the bat, I have no affiliation with the company I used. I paid for everything, but they were awesome. Their customer service was second to none, and that was Custom Night Vision. These guys were awesome. My salesman was Trevor, awesome dude. Spoke to Ben. Small company, but what's great about these guys is they answer every question. They gave me their personal cell phone. They were answering questions on the weekend. Even on a Sunday, I had a question, they were answering it, and they really build the night vision to your needs and what your budget is, and they really try to get you there, and the prices are awesome. So they really tell you, hey, you could cut back here and add here, which was helpful because one, night vision is very confusing, it could be intimidating. You're spending a good amount of money, right? And it's awesome to work with a company like that that's not just looking for money, right? They kind of tell you like, hey, maybe you could get this, and down the road you could upgrade it. So that was really cool. So if you're looking for a company, I'm not saying use Custom Night Vision, that's who I used, awesome company, but really do your research, and their prices were awesome. So that what leads me to, before I kind of show you what I got, is when you're going to be getting night vision, one, you have to make a choice on whether you want a monocular or a binocular, binos, right? Like a PVS 14 or binos. I wanted binos. Nothing against a monocular. I used one before, but I wanted binos. Is there a difference? Yeah, one, well, obviously you're looking through, two tubes. The depth perception, some people say, is a thing, but honestly, if you train with it, you're fine. Like early on when I was on the job, they gave us PVS 14s. They were awesome. But even recently, I know guys that we train with that have a PVS 14, and they keep up with guys that have, $12,000 unit binos. So it's really how much you use it, how you train, and all that. So don't think you're at a disadvantage by getting a monocular. But I wanted binos. What I didn't know is if I was able to get them with my budget. Like I said, my budget was around 5 or 6, grand. I know it's a lot. Kind of even hurts thinking about it. But I didn't know if I could get there. They got me there, and I'll explain a little bit on that. So what was cool about them is, and this is what really led me to my decision, was I started thinking, listen, I'm not on the job anymore. I'm not kicking down doors. So I'm not going to be using this. Not that I'm not going to be using it every day, but most likely I'm not going to be using it every day. I'm going to be using it for training, doing nighttime stuff. I have woods in the back, maybe hunting, but more for training with the guys, doing night stuff, doing CQB stuff, but not on a work purpose, not on an everyday, and not for work is what I'm saying. So if that was the case for me, if I was still kicking down doors, it would have led me to different, different tubes, really, when it comes down to it, right? And a different unit altogether, possibly. But that's where I weighed it out. What am I going to be doing with it? That's what you have to weigh out. If you've never been into night vision, like I said, get a PVS 14. You're going to be having night vision. You can get like a surplus PVS 14 with like an NNVT tube and be in the 2,000 range, right? So when it comes to tubes, and by no means am I an expert on this, guys, there is tons and tons of information out there, so do your research. But when it comes to tubes, the two highest end tubes are Elbit and L3, and then you go green phosphorus or white phosphorus, and then there's photonus and NNVT, right? More like the Chinese kind of option, and NNVT is like the new kind of Chinesium that's out there, but they're really good tubes, and I say that because that's what I went, and I'll talk about my setup and all that as the video goes on. But that's where you have to figure out. Now, when you're talking about L-bit and L3, there is tons of different tubes with different FOM ratings, SNR. There's tons of all these things. They come with data sheets, but the higher end you go, the higher the expensive tubes are. Like some L3 tubes, they're endless, man. They could be 4,000 or 5,000 just per tube, just a tube. So when I was weighing this out, this was really my debate. Was I going to get a PVS 14 with an L-bit or L3 tube? I was going to be in that 5,000 range with that high-end tube, the optics I was using. Or could I have got Binos, got a good housing, got the optics I wanted, but kind of scaled down on the tubes that are still great and be in my budget, and that's what led me to what I have here. So I'm going to talk about what I have here. I'm just going to kind of bring you guys closer down so you could see the housing. We'll talk about everything, but that's really what I wanted to get out of the way. When you're looking at night vision, really got to figure out, one, what's your budget. If your budget is, hey, I got it, then go all out. You get binos with L-bit or L3, filmless tubes that are, you're going to spend 10 or 11 grand. But if you really want to be in that budget where I was, 5 or 6, that's where you have to make the choice. Are you going to go with the super high-end PVS 14? Or you're going to go with binos and a lesser tube like an NNVT. When I say lesser, I'm talking about it's a Chinese tube, not that it's lesser in quality on that, and we'll talk about that. But remember, with that comes other things too. If you're getting a PVS 14, you need an arm and a mount. Like I had binos, but I also needed to save some money. I needed a mount. Right, a good mount's going to be $400 or $500. So also factor that in too. So whatever you're getting, unless you have this stuff, and remember, if you don't have a helmet, that all adds up. I already had all this, so really what I needed was just a mount. And I did a video on this mount, the Nocturne Alpha mount, which is awesome. But just know you kind of got to budget a few $100s for that mount. And I suggest getting a good mount. There's other mounts out there that are like imitation Wilcox and Nocturne. I would honestly only get a Wilcox, a Nocturne, or an Argus, which I heard they're good. But the Alpha mount by Nocturne is money. That's what I have here. So anyway, I'm going to bring the camera down. Let's talk about my budget binos that I got for about 5 and change. Let me bring you guys down so you guys get a really good look at that. Let's go. All right, guys, we're here. I'm just hands and arms, but let's talk about what's in the black case. Dun, dun, dun. When you get the binos or any night vision, they're going to come in a nice little travel case like this, padded in there, as you could see, and comes with data sheets. And this is my night vision setup here. These are binos, guys, as you see right here, articulating binos. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you they did not come with these 100 concept caps. These were extra, so they do not come with that. They're just going to have an optic on the front and the optic to the rear, which this is what goes in your eyes. You're going to see through here, right? These are your objectives. So they do not come with this. I'll talk about these as the video goes on. But this is the unit I got. These are the binos I got from Custom Night Vision. So let's talk about the housing. Then I'll talk about the optics. Then I'll talk about the tubes. And I'll go through all that. So this is the ANVB housing. I'm just bringing it up so I could give you guys all the specs. It's made by Aeon Tech. Now, this is a really, really good housing. Custom Night Vision, suggested this housing because one, I think it's regularly like $1,500, but I got it for $1,000, and they said, based on what you're getting, this is way more expensive housing. What it was there was a shortness on the market on these, but now they're in stock and they had a good amount of stock. That's the one thing with Custom Night Vision. I think they have so much stock of stuff, they could really run deals like this. So that's what you have to really, go with a company that has enough inventory that they could do deals. So I think they have a ton of inventory. So I got this housing for $1,000. It's the Aeon Tech ANVB. housing. All right, so it's articulating arms. As you can see, they articulate. They're very, nice and stiff. It's not a flimsy articulation. They're nice and light. It's polymer. It's not aluminum, but they're like, let's say, like the Nocturne, like I don't know if it's I forget what the PVS 14 is, but it's polymer. So very rugged. It has a 5-year warranty if anything was to happen. I know Nocturne stuff has a lifetime warranty, but very, very nice housing. The first thing, like I said, is the articulation on it. So articulating iPods, so they completely fold up for storage, helmet, if you want to put them up. So that's super cool that it has that. Like I said, sometimes they could be flimsy, but these are nice, nice and tight. Then you have the IDPs, which are right here. That's usually it's an adjustment. So I believe it's like interpapillary distance. But these guys right here, a lot of housings don't have this. You could add them to housings, but it kind of brings your housing kind of like in, angled in like this. So it's just about like kind of setting them up how you want. So that's a plus that it has that. It has independent pod shut off. So if you articulate one, it shuts it off. If you do want to have one on, I don't know why you would, but you could. If you do the other one, they both shut off. As you fold them up as well, you have auto shut off. So that's another awesome feature that if you don't have to turn off your unit. You just kind of articulate them up and they shut off automatically. You can stow them up and you know that they're off. All right, so that's really cool. It has IR illuminator right here. That's your eye with a flood and a focused a beam. It has so adjustable focus on it. It also has an IR signaling, so you could do like an onboard IR kind of signaling for like covert ops and stuff like that. It takes one CR123 battery right here, right in the front of it, which is nice. So it just takes one battery. You get tons of battery life. It also has the 4-pin for running a battery pack. The Fisher port. I didn't run a battery pack right now because, like I said, I'm not, doing it for work purposes, so I'm not going to be running them for hours on end. But you get tons of hours with the battery. I don't know if I have the spec on how many hours you get from the battery, but anyway, I'm gonna tell you, as far as the device itself, just the housing is 180 grams. I'm just looking at the specs here, so it's a light housing as well. Now, you might say, what does that matter? Well, it's on the front of your helmet. You don't want something too heavy, so weight matters, obviously. Easier to counterweight your helmet and all that. But as far as, let's see what other things I'm missing. Skeletonized pods for the reduced weight. That's just, they're kind of skeletonized. Dovetail interface. That's just here. The dovetail is on there. Programmable auto power on and off. So the power button is just here. You hold it down, powers it on, and you double click. You get your IR illuminator, right? You also have your manual gain here. So, brightness levels is right here. So all in this one switch right here. Let me see, did I miss anything as far as the housing? And that's it. So a lot of features for $1,000 on this housing. The articulating arms, IDPs, battery, Fisher port. You have the auto, the independent shutoffs. So really, really good. So that was the housing. Then you have to think about what optics you want. So the optics are here on your eye side and what you're looking through. Now the mil spec are Carson's. Those are like they're all PVS 14 style and size. Now this is where I upgraded as well. So I didn't just go with the mil spec Carson's, which are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. I went with the RPO 4.0 ultralights. Now it's nothing to really see that I could show you, but they're right here. But what they are is a huge weight savings. They are half the weight of the mil spec. So if the mil spec Carson's are 58 grams. These guys are like 22. They're a little less than half. So it's saves a lot of weight. They really suggested on that. The RPO ultralights were about, let's say the Carsons were it was double. So it was $1,000. Remember, because you're doing two sides. If it's just one PVS 14, you're just spending, it would have been 500. Because remember, you're doing, two here, two here. So these are the RPO 4.0 ultralights, very nice optics. The other option was the boom slangs, which give you, I believe, 50 degrees of view. But I heard things on it. I heard they don't really, are a plus, and they were a lot more expensive. So the RPO 4.0 ultralights are like the best kind of to get. It's, they're a little expensive, but it's worth putting the money into them, whether you're getting a mono or binos. Right, what else then we got? Then we've got the tubes itself, and this is where the money comes in. That's what's inside here, and that's what I went with, the NNVT tubes. Okay, so yes, they're Chinese. I went with the NNVT AutoGated white phosphorus. Listen, white or green is going to be preference. I like the white, but these have the manual gain. So when you see the tubes, has like that little like piggy tails coming off of them, so they could adjust for brightness. Like I said, these are white phosphorus. They are the 11769 manual gains, and they are about, the two tubes were about 2,700. So they're about about 1,400 a tube. If you buy them together, you get them for 1,300. So both tubes were 2,700. If you were going with an Elbit, you're going to be starting at 2,700 just for one tube. So if I had gone with Elbit or L3s, it would have been out of my price range, right? I would have been, in the 6 or 7 for, beginning Elbits. And there's a lot of videos out there. Custom Night Vision did it, and I'm going to talk about what the difference is there. Like an Elbit white phosphorus and this NNVT in moonlight or some light that's out there, they look very, very identical. Again, depending on the Elbit, it has to be an Elbit that's kind of matched to this, because there's so many variances with this, the SNR, the FOMs, right? I'm talking about, apples to apples, kind of close. They are, and they've done comparisons, so check out their videos. They are very, very close. Where the Elbits are going to shine a little more is in no light, like complete darkness. That's where, it's a little harder to see. You get more like that static, the noise, right? And that's where the Elbits are going to be a little, on the brighter side. My buddy has a high-end pair of Elbits, and we looked through both. And the only thing I could tell you, with some moonlight, we were in the woods the other day, what I could tell you is with his Elbits, the image was like a little clearer, maybe where I can make a little more detail, but they were very, very similar for what I paid and what he paid. When I could figure out how to put my camera through these, I'll show you, the night vision setup. Kind of just talking about the unit right now, but I'll show you guys. But there is tons of comparisons, so check them out. Check out NNVT against Elbit, against Photonis, all that, so you can make your best informed decision. But these are the NNVTs with manual gains. Now, the reason I went with that route was because, one, it got me into the binos at my budget, right? So let's say if I had gone these and I didn't need a mount, and I went with Carlson, mil-spec optics, you could probably get this unit for $4,500, plus tax and all that. I was about 55 because I needed the mount, and I went with the RPO ultralights. But you can get a set of binos with this. This housing is awesome for $1,000, guys. Check out Custom Night Vision. They have this ANVB housing, and it's awesome for that price. So again, the reason I went, what I was saying was with the NNVT tubes, because it gets me to binos, right? I could get back into night vision training the way I want, and down the road, I could sell these. They hold their resale. So even, I just paid $2,700. Even if I got, $2,000 for them down the road, that's pretty much what I could put into one tube, and I could upgrade the other tube and put maybe better Elbits in here, L3s. I'll have the housing. I'll have the good optics. I'll be ready to go. All I need to do is put tubes in them. So, that's another thing to think about. You could always upgrade. I know it's that kind of like cry once, buy once. But yeah, this was cry once, buy once. 5 something was a lot of money. So it really depends on your budget. They do come with data sheets, and there's a lot on here to kind of, not to go through, but I don't know them, but to give you some specs on this, the SNR just under 25. This one's 20. They're match set, so 24.58. The FOMs are about 1700. They don't say the FOMs, but the way you figure out the FOMs is you take center resolution and times it by your SNR, and you get FOMs. So if my center resolution is 68, if I times it by my signal to noise, right, the SNR 24.58, my FOMs on this tubes are like 1680, so right under 1700 FOMs. Again, they're white phosphorus, and man, they are clear. In super dark, if you run the illuminator, they are super, super bright. With any type of little bit of light, like moonlight, they're awesome, man. I was very, very impressed. It's only in like a super dark room that you can't even, like I went in a room, I stuffed the door, right, so no light comes in. You could see there in super low light, but that's going to be with any night vision. On complete darkness, you're never going to see like what you think. So even if you have the highest end tube, that's when you need an illuminator. And it has an onboard illuminator, which is awesome. And what else? Did I miss anything? So that's it. That's the unit, guys. Now let's talk about the caps. Now, I got these from Steel Industries. They did a collab with 100 Concepts. The collab was, these are the hex caps. So when you here would be like the ARD version, I took them out because you could pop them out because I didn't need them. The anti-glare, I might put them in, but what I really wanted was caps to protect my night vision. I train during the day, and if I'm day noodling, as they say, and God forbid I hit these on, I'm covered. They're covered. There's nothing happening. It also protects your lens from anything, any banging, anything hitting it, etc. So definitely worth it, because this unit was 5,000 plus, and these guys were about $60 on each. They come with the ring that you put on, the caps, and then these cups that go over your eye cups. They're for PVS 14 size, so they fit on there. And it also has the ARD. I thought I had them in the case. I popped them out, but the regular hex, that's for anti-glare. They do have that as well. So when you're, if you're running the night vision and somebody was to shine some light on you, they can't pick up the glare from your lens. That's what they're for. But I rock them just like this. I popped them out. You could always pop them back in if you want. So that was a great investment. It's about $100 for the caps from 100 Concepts. There's might be other caps out there, but not that I know of. And I know there's iris caps and stuff like that, but I talked to the guys at Custom Night Vision, and they said they didn't really know of any irises that they thought were really, really good. So this was the best option. I love 100 Concept stuff. So I put those on there. Again, they go on the Nocturne Alpha mount, which is awesome. This mount is, I think, better than the Wilcox mount, lighter. Tolerances are awesome on it, just so you can see what they look like on the helmet when you clip them in. Sorry, guys. Turn this here so I can put this in right before I bang up my new night vision, just like that. On arm goes, you have the adjustment here. That's how they would auto shut off, just like that. I have the force to overcome. So if I want it to pop down, I just force it down. Here's your tilt for tilting it up and down. So again, you want to get a high quality mount, and then you just pop this out and it pops out. You want to get a good lanyard too. I put the little clips on here, if you could see these little clips here for my lanyard, because God forbid this gets bumped off, your lanyard is just an extra protection. Now, I know it comes with this case, but I'm going to show you guys something else I got. Is this case from T-Rex. I know some guys are not buying T-Rex, but I think they make good products. I'm not getting into the company or what happened with them, so I still buy stuff with them. But it's a nice little padded case, holds a battery in there, so you could keep an extra CR123, and you could put your nods right in there, just like that. Fits right in, clips on, protects them, padded. That clip here also has your molly here, so you can put them on the side of a pack or keep it in, if you're stowing it away, traveling, or you want to keep it on the side of a book bag. A little big to keep on the side of like your kit and all that. I guess you could if you want to, but this is a great case. $50 from T-Rex, protects your nods in there, all padded, so you don't have to worry about anything opposed to just carrying it in this case. This is a good case if you're traveling. Obviously you could lock it. It's padded inside, so that's a good, but this is more like an everyday kind of padding. And just if you guys, I didn't show you the data sheets, but for any of you guys, I don't know if you guys could see that, but if you are a night vision like nerd and know all the numbers, and you want to take a quick screenshot of that to go see what the NNVT tubes are, there it is. There's a lot of things that I don't understand on there, but from what I was saying, talking to those guys, the highest, the most important is really like the SNR, FOM and all that, and center resolution and all that. But again, these NNVT tubes, guys, really good for the money. The housing, really good. And yeah, just so you know exactly where I was at, you're talking about $4,700 when you're all said and done, then plus tax, because the housing was $1,000, right? Another $1,000 for the RPO ultralights, so I'm at $2,000 there. Then $2,700 for the tubes, so I had a $4,700 just right there in the unit. And then you're talking about tax, so you're just around $5,000 for this setup, guys. Awesome housing. Check out Custom Night Vision, guys, for a really good deal. I'm sure they're going to have deals coming up for Black Friday. But either way, hit up Trevor. That was my salesman. Awesome. Got me to what I needed. And that's it, guys. Just wanted to show you the housing, talk about the tubes, the optics, what I got, showing you the illuminator there, and just show you that, yeah, you can absolutely get, binos for for $5,000 if you want to. And there it is. That's it, guys. Just wanted to do kind of a quick video on what I got, showing you the housing and all that. Down the road, I'll do a video. Hopefully I could, get my camera in there and show you guys some, some pictures of the tubes in action at night. But go on YouTube, check out Custom Night Vision. They do a comparison. Also, Cold Harbor does these NNVT tubes. And from what I know from, just to throw it out there real quick, from Custom Night Vision, they've been selling a lot of these tubes and no issues. Nobody's come back. That was a concern of mine. Oh, well, listen, I know they're Chinese tubes. Any issues, they have warranty. Nobody has, come back with anything. There is no spots on these. They're super, super, clean, no imperfections, which is a plus. They match set them, so they get you the best set of tubes they have. They get really high quality stuff. So that's it, guys. If you have any questions on that, let me know. I will see you guys on the next one. Stay safe, mi gente. Dale.